again. We will make America healthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you, New York. God bless you. God bless you all. Thank you.
An incredible rally at Madison Square Garden, which, of course, immediately gets compared to a Nazi rally. Welcome to the home stretch of the presidential election, where the left is absolutely not panicking. They are totally not panicking. They're having a completely normal one because they are so confident in Kamala Harris's chances at victory. It's another busy broadcast week here on the Dan O'Donnell Show as we continue Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. We will have numbers from over the weekend in just a second, but we are also continuing the Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Your chance at $1,000 right now. All you need to do, go to our website, enter the keyword dollar, D-O-L-L-A-R, dollar. You've got until 55 past this hour to go to our website, enter the keyword dollar to enter the contest for this hour. Your entry is picked at random. You will win $1,000 in cash instantly. We have an update from Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. Now, almost by necessity, the numbers were going to go down over the weekend. Many communities just don't have early voting like Milwaukee and Madison do on the weekends. It's somewhat to be expected. They just don't have the same staffing levels, but they also don't necessarily have clerks who believe that it is their absolute job, some might say one of their only jobs, to get as many people voting and make voting as convenient as humanly possible in communities where there isn't a whole lot of opportunity for early voting. Also, since I am not on the air, obviously, after 11 a.m. on Friday morning, there isn't a constant reminder to text me or to email me people who happen to go on a Saturday. Maybe they're in Wisconsin, maybe they're in Milwaukee, maybe they're in Madison, maybe they're in a community which almost miraculously outside of those two actually does have in-person early voting on the weekends. The numbers were not great. And I say that only because the primary reason they went down, I only got a couple of texts, I only got a couple of emails, not to mention the fact that it was trick-or-treating over the weekend, Halloween parties galore. And by the way, if you are looking for the official 2024 Dan O'Donnell family Halloween costume, it's become something of a parlor game amongst the members of Dan Nation, guessing what my family is going to do for our annual costume. We have done a whole lot of fun stuff. The boys, they're getting a little bit older, and well, they're getting a lot older, frankly. My son, I think my oldest, is continuing the tradition of doing theme costumes. He did a great one with his girlfriend. They were Super Mario and Princess Peach. They look very, very cool. My younger son was so inspired by our trip to Norway as part of the Dan O'Donnell Operation Overlord adventure in August. He was so inspired by that. He wanted to go as a World War II soldier, and he looked incredible. Picked out the costume. We got it on Amazon. It was great. So it was only my wife and my daughter who took part in it, and I just, you know, folks, I get a little skittish about posting pictures of my family. I'll do it once a year or so at Christmas, just because as the show's popularity has exploded, and I thank you so much for that, I just want to limit the number of, you can understand, as a dad to a 10-year-old girl. So we had great pictures of her as part of the theme costume, but the pictures of my wife and I in our Halloween costumes, I think many people are saying these were our best ones yet. I frankly thought they were hilarious. Producer Dave, I assume you saw this because you do nothing but go on Facebook all weekend long. What do you mean, who was who? Which one was I? Very funny. I was the attractive blonde woman. That was me. It was a great costume, actually. I went as a Democrat voter. I just changed my No, I'm just kidding. So you can check those out at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show as well. If you want to take part in the state's largest early vote drive, all you need to do is, well, early vote. And then once you do so, let me know. AdventNows.com talk and text line 414-799-1130, or you can reach me toll free 1-800-838-9476. Let me know if you voted. Let me know who you brought to the polls. You can also email me, dod@iheartmedia.com. I am seeing the texts and the emails roll in. So, folks, a lot of people are telling me, hey, Dan, I've seen 3 since I started talking here, that we went on Saturday. So this is what I assumed. And folks, here's the thing. When I give you the numbers for the state's largest early vote drive, they're probably a percentage, not a fraction. I'm thinking a decent percentage of those who are actually inspired and motivated to go out to early vote because of what we're doing here on the radio and, by the way, streaming online at Dan O'Donnell Show again on X, Facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. YouTube channel is up as well. And there's only a percentage of people who will ever actually, text in. Oh, did I say Norway? My wife just texted me. My son was not inspired by our trip to Norway, which is coming up, and I am told there is a very small number of cabins still available. We hold a number in reserve. We haven't really been advertising this. I think I inadvertently said Norway when I meant, of course, Normandy. I'm already thinking about next year's trip because, folks, these are so incredible. They're so much fun. Cruise-tour.com if you want to check it out. Again, handful of cabins available. If you've been on the fence, we did hold some cabins in reserve for people who, might be late signing up or something like that. But do hurry because I guarantee we will be totally and completely sold out within, a couple of weeks, if not a month. But I'm just letting you know we've got a couple still being held in reserve. But it's amazing how many of you signed up. All right, so Normandy. Obviously, Chris wasn't pretending to be one of those brave heroes who parachuted into Oslo. He got blown way off course because of the weather on D-Day. It was really rough. So, as I was saying, you want to watch the show? We are streaming live on YouTube, and just because it was a weekend, just because I wasn't really on, we had from Friday through Sunday 1,718 people early vote as a result of Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. Got a great text on Friday. My son's girlfriend's family, wonderful, wonderful people. They sent me a picture of them. They have twin boys who are 19, 20 years old, somewhere in there. They all voted. Great family picture. They got the boys home from college, got them voting. It was just very, very cool. And, of course, we added them to the Friday total. Saturday morning, I'm coaching a soccer game, 9 a.m. This team was so wonderful as to reschedule. They're coming in from Lake Country, so it's like a 35-minute drive for them. We were supposed to play at 1:30, but because obviously trick or treat and all of this, we wanted to reschedule. So I see the coach on the other side of the field, and we kind of meet at the middle, and I go to shake her hand and say, hey, thank you so much for rescheduling. That was really cool. Before I can even open my mouth, she goes, hey, I just want you to know that my husband and I early voted. We're all big fans. We got our family to early vote. So it was a wonderful Halloween weekend. I hope all of you had a great weekend as well. And we now stand at 7,463 votes logged in Wisconsin's largest early vote drive. Folks, I continue to be amazed at just how incredibly Dan Nation is performing. In prior years, to give you some perspective, we would have several hundred. I would say I didn't admittedly do the hard work, and last night it was a long time. A Saturday or Sunday night, all I wanted to do after a full day of coaching soccer, I had to referee my son's soccer game because the ref didn't show up, and the coach, of course, runs up and he's like, Dan, can you ref? I'm like, oh my goodness. I had to play pickup soccer with my buddies right afterward. So I ran about a total of 4.5 miles. All I wanted to do was lay down, veg out, watch the Niners and Cowboys play Sunday Night Football, but instead I was there with my clicker logging your votes. And folks, I am so incredibly proud of the effort we put forth together. This is the thing that more than anything is convincing Democrats. Not that the race is over, and I don't want to give that false impression because it's not, but what's engendering all this panic is it's no longer theoretical, i.e. the polls are showing that Kamala is really struggling. Democrats have, for two major election cycles, the midterms of 22 and, of course, the presidential election of 2020, but also in the off-year elections, made it their mission to dominate early voting. They understand, using that football analogy, of course, that it's way easier to win a football game when you go up 31-10 in the first quarter. It is very difficult to make up ground in the later stages of the game, and when the game essentially lasts for a month, in the case of voting in the United States now, to limit yourself to just 12 hours to make up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of votes is a fool's errand. Republicans in 2024 understood the mission. And now Democrats are seeing data not just in the form of, oh, well, Trump seems to be ahead, but in every single swing state, the trend is redder and redder and redder, to the point where it's altering candidate behavior in a way that suggests to me the data is actually showing potentially a much bigger Trump win than even the polls would suggest. So Trump does an incredible rally at Madison Square Garden, which, by the way, was the site of Lyndon Johnson's closing message in the presidential election of 1964. That was his big closing rally. It was the site where Bill Clinton accepted the Democratic presidential nomination in 1992. So, of course, instead of comparing Trump's rally last night to either of those major Democratic political events, Jonathan Capehart at MSNBC compares it to a Nazi rally in the 1930s.
Madison Square Garden was packed.
Whoops, that's Jonathan Karl. But you know what? Let's go with that. Here's Karl said on ABC's Good Morning America this morning, said the energy was undeniable. He was there, and it was just a remarkable showing from Trump.
Madison Square Garden was packed. People waited hours to get in. They sat through hour after hour of this rally. They were fervent in their devotion to all things Trump. Trump has created a movement. There is no doubt. I cannot think of another Republican figure of my lifetime who could have come into a Democratic city like New York and put together anything like that.
No, I don't see John McCain doing that. Something tells me Bob Dole back in 1996, as great a man as he was, would not have had that energy in the final weeks of a presidential election. So because this was such a big deal, because it was such a star-studded affair, because it was such an exclamation point on a month that saw this race flipped completely on its head, from Kamala leading to Trump leading in pretty much every swing state, as well as unlikely as this seems, the national popular vote, MSNBC's Jonathan Capehart had to compare it to what else? Hitler.
That jamboree happening right now, you see it there on your screen, in that place is particularly chilling because in 1939, more than 20,000 supporters of a different fascist leader, Adolf Hitler, packed the Garden for a so-called pro-America rally, a rally where speakers voiced anti-Semitic rhetoric from a stage draped with Nazi banners. When a Jewish protester rushed the stage, the Associated Press reported, quote, instantly, a dozen or more stormtroopers set upon him, knocking him down and beating him as he held his head in his arms. Most of his clothing was torn from his body. Later, he was booked for disorderly conduct. Now, against that backdrop of history, Donald Trump, the man who has threatened to use the military against opponents he calls enemies from within, who has threatened to use the troops to quell what he says are lawless cities, and to use those troops to carry out mass deportations of immigrants, is once again turning Madison Square Garden into a staging ground for extremism.
I mean, that almost defies parody at this point. This comes after an entire week dedicated to Trump being a fascist, according to John Kelly, his former chief of staff, who wrote an entire book about how terrible Donald Trump was and is, and never bothered to mention that he loved Hitler's generals. You would think that would be a thing that would be top of mind. When I'm sitting down to write a book, when I'm writing my memoirs, if, let's say, producer Dave came in and said, you know what, Dan? Hitler had way better talk show hosts than I had to work with. Boy, you, sir, are no Joseph Goebbels. You've got nothing on him. I think that might stick with me. I think that might make it into the final draft of the book, but Kelly, of course, didn't bother to include it. Same thing with this model, Stacey Williams, who said way back in 1993, oh, by the way, Trump groped me when Jeffrey Epstein and I went to go visit him. The only problem with that, A, she never said it before, B, the one verifiable piece of information that she provided, the one thing that you can go back and check and say, okay, is this true or is this false, was that she was at Jeffrey Epstein's place on the Upper East Side of Manhattan in 1993. She was very clear about the date. Jeffrey Epstein didn't move to the Upper East Side of Manhattan until 1996. She's rather obviously lying. This is not a sign of confidence in the last week of an election. You don't go hyper negative like this and know it's not just the media reporting on whatever the media wants. This is a coordinated message. You don't do this when you think you're winning. You sound triumphant. You make the closing case. Here's what we're going to do. One candidate is doing that, and it's not Kamala Harris. But now, in Democrats' continuing quest to throw as much you-know-what against the wall and see what sticks, something a comedian said at Trump's rally is supposedly going to cost Trump the election. We'll get into Kill Tony Gate when we come back here on the Dan O'Donnell Show.
You know, autumn leaves, they're beautiful until they start clogging up your gutters. You're busy enough this season without having to get up on a ladder, that horrible, dirty job, and clean out your gutters. Whether you're tired of unclogging your gutters or you don't even know what they look like, well, it's time for a permanent solution to protect your biggest investment, your home, and that is Leaf Filter. And right now you can save up to 30% off your entire purchase at leaffilter.com/Hannity. Now, clogs aren't just a nuisance. They can cause extensive water damage. Let Leaf Filter's trusted pros help protect your home from flooding, roof damage, rotting siding, foundation issues, and much more. They're going to clean out, realign, seal your gutters before they even install Leaf Filter and their award-winning patented technology. Never get on a ladder and clean out those gutters again with Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system. Get your free inspection up to 30% off your entire purchase. Go to leaffilter.com/Hannity. That's leaffilter.com/Hannity today. See representative for warranty details.
Whether you're an active or passively active home shopper, our agents want you to be completely up to date with what's out there and what's brand new to the market. With our instant emailed MLS updates, you'll never miss out on what could be the home of your dreams. All you have to do is call and tell us where to search, give us a price range, and soon you'll be totally in tune with your desired real estate market. Remember, MLS searches show you everything. Some of the other real estate sites don't. So call Benefit Realty today, where you'll pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com. 3.5 to 3.9% real estate commission. You can't find a lower rate of commission, and you won't be able to find better knowledge, service, and real estate expertise than you'll find with our agents at Benefit Realty. Because I know that's what you expect. Now, I'm not sure you'll be able to find the highest caliber of agents everywhere, but I can promise that's what you'll get here. So choose Benefit Realty to exceed your expectations, and you'll pay less for more. This is Angela Calais with Benefit Realty, where you pay less for full service. Benefit-realty.com.
The socialists who want to move into the White House have a lot of plans for your money. One of them is to control the price of food, and this is just the start. Could 401ks and IRAs be next on their agenda? It might sound far-fetched, but so did price fixing just months ago. Hi. Donald Trump Jr. here. If you've spent decades building your nest egg, you can act now to stop your savings from falling into the hands of the socialists. It's why Americans are turning to gold, the ultimate safe haven in uncertain times. To see how easy it is to diversify your retirement with gold, get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold by texting the word PROTECT to 989898. Birch Gold makes it easy to roll over your 401k or IRA into gold while preserving your tax advantage status. Don't wait any longer. Protect your financial future now. Text PROTECT to the number 989898 for your free info kit from Birch Gold, the only gold company I trust.
Paid for by Birch Gold Group.
Intelligent discourse, irreverent fun here on the Dan O'Donnell Show. Yes, we are in the spooky season, Spirit All Halloween bumper music from now until Thursday, the big day, Halloween 2024. But of course, for most people, Halloween Day and Halloween night are actually kind of anticlimactic. This past weekend was the big one. That's when all the Halloween parties are. It's sort of like Halloween. I know it's always going to be the 31st, but it should sort of be like Thanksgiving, where it's always the fourth Thursday in November. Do I have that right? It might be the third. I did an entire forgotten history on this. It is fourth Thursday in Thanksgiving. We should always have Halloween as the last Saturday of October. Oh, you were down at Brady Street, producer Dave? I was going to say, were you trying to relive your 20s? Did you get into the bars with a fake ID down there, Dave? What were you doing on Brady Street? Oh, he was dropping off somebody in the area. Oh, okay. He was being a good friend, a sober driver, and he said it was a you-know-what show. I had a whole bunch of parties. We just make it a whole thing. I was talking to some of my buddies that I play soccer with, just pick up soccer every Sunday afternoon, and we were kind of comparing notes about the Halloween parties, and just what a great way for the neighborhood to get together. And one of my friends said, yeah, it's like the last time everybody sees each other and gets together before we all hibernate for the winter. And that's a pretty darn good way of explaining it. State's largest early vote drive underway, 414-799-1130 or 1-800-838-9476 to log your vote with the official tabulators at the Dan O'Donnell Show Central Count, which is literally me sitting at a kitchen table with a little clicker. I forgot the clicker at home. I love doing the little sound effect, but I forgot it at home this morning. So Trump's Nazi rally last night, it was so Nazi-ish that there was literally an Israeli flag hanging from the rafters at this Nazi rally. There were all sorts of black people, Latinos, Asians. people of every ethnicity, people of every creed coming together, and not necessarily just in support of Trump, but in support of what he represents. Do you know who finally figured it out, by the way? Of all people, I swear this guy is starting to get red-pilled. Not David Axelrod, Chris Cuomo. Chris Cuomo, late of CNN, now he's with News Nation, I believe, has finally figured it out. If we have time, we've got the soundbite from him, what Trump represents. So this is all going on. The very first speaker was a comedian by the name of Tony Hinchcliffe, better known as Kill Tony. My brother, who lives down in Austin, Texas, says he is huge in the local comedy scene. He hosts a weekly comedy event that they turn into a podcast. It's like 1 minute stand-up where people go up and they tell their best jokes, and he and other comedians will judge it. It's a whole lot of fun. He hosts this, and a lot of people have no idea who he is, but he's apparently a big star, up-and-comer in comedy. I've heard of this guy, and I was probably one of the few who has heard of this guy for a while, and apparently he's a big conservative, so he's invited to not just speak, but actually do comedy at the Trump rally, and it is this joke that is causing a major leftist freakout.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right, okay, we're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup.
Now, admittedly, was the joke a little off color? Yeah. He also, I believe, made a joke about carving pumpkins and said something to the effect that black people carve watermelons. That's a stereotype of black people, that they enjoy watermelon. I don't know. I actually think I've never really understood that stereotype, because in the course of my life, I feel like I am the one human being of any race who does not like watermelon. It's for the same reason I don't like cucumber. No, I don't like the watermelon flavored, seltzer drinks. I kind of avoid. Those taste nothing like watermelon. Watermelon doesn't really have a taste. And that's what I don't really like about it. Same reason I don't really like cucumbers, and celery I can handle for some reason. And I am like the least picky eater there is. There's very, very, very few foods that I won't eat. I'm sort of known in my family as the human garbage disposal. Whatever my mother-in-law says, I am her absolute favorite person to cook for, because no matter what she makes, she could cook me an entire island of garbage, and I would probably love it and send my compliments to the chef. But he told off-color jokes. That's what comedians do. Now, of course, the left is freaking out, and you have got a whole lot of conservatives who are also freaking out and saying this guy is going to cost Trump the election, because there are so many Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania, especially 500,000 Puerto Ricans. They are American citizens, and if the left has its way, Puerto Rico would become the 51st state. So let me get this straight. Some random dude at a Trump rally, who I'm assuming most people don't know. This is not Dave Chappelle. This is not Chris Rock. This isn't even Shane Gillis, who I've said is the hottest comedian working now. The guy is absolutely hysterical. This is, I don't want to say a relative no name, but he's not the biggest name in the world. So let's do a little role playing here. You got a Puerto Rican buddy. He's voting for Trump. He's not necessarily political. He's not an ideological conservative or Trumper or anything like that. You say, hey, did you hear about the Trump rally? No, I didn't, buddy. Did you hear they made a joke about Puerto Rico being a floating island of garbage? No way, man. Trump said that? No, not Trump himself. This comedian Kill Tony. Oh, I don't care about that. I mean, I have a difficult time believing that after a week of calling Trump Hitler, and saying he sexually assaulted a woman with Jeffrey Epstein, I don't think some random dude making a bad joke about Puerto Rico is going to swing things. Forgive me if I think that the die is already somewhat cast here. But was it possibly an unforced error? Yes. You don't have somebody who's going to say something that, can get the entire campaign in trouble. And the campaign has already put out a statement saying this does not reflect the beliefs or feelings of the Trump campaign or Donald Trump himself. Here's the thing about this rally, and here's the thing about Trump himself. If it wasn't this, folks, it was something else. It would have been something Tucker Carlson said, or Elon, or Trump, or just the fact that it was held at Madison Square Garden, which has only been the site of Nazi rallies since 1939. The New York Knicks, apparently a Nazi organization, just put Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns in the swastika and have them goose step toward the free throw line because, it's so out of control and it's so insane that the problem sort of is when you freak out about everything, as the left has for 9 years now, people get desensitized to it. Call them the wolf or the boy who cried Nazi. There is no wolf, ladies and gentlemen. There is no Nazi. There is only unhinged liberalism, and people see it.
This is Michael Lynch from Lynch Truck Center. For the first time ever, Lynch Truck Center is having a massive construction sale on over 400 in-stock trucks, which include Chevrolet, GMC, Kino, and Isuzu. You will not want to miss it. We're adding parking, 7 more truck bays, and expanded parts storage so we can better serve you, our customer. Did you know our experienced sales staff sold more Chevrolet medium-duty trucks and cab-overs than all the other dealers in the state combined? With their knowledge on upfits, combined with our service department, we deliver turnkey vehicles for your business, including the right body for your application, bin packages, and even lettered when it's delivered right to your door. As a business owner, has managing your fleet grown into a full-time job? Our fleet department can help. We provide a free fleet analysis which guides you when to trade, help track expenses for maintenance, fuel, and even vehicle tracking. You'll be shocked on the money and time you can save, not to mention having new vehicles under warranty. Visit LynchTruckCenter.com and give us a shot. We won't disappoint you.
Just who is Peter Barca? Barca is a career politician we simply can't trust. We can't trust him to protect law enforcement because Barca raised money for an anti-police group that called our officers occupying soldiers. Can't trust Barca on the border either. He voted to support sanctuary cities putting violent criminals before our families. And while fentanyl floods our streets, Barca chose radical politics over our safety. Our veterans can't trust Peter Barca. He voted to cut the benefits they earned and deserve, endangering our families and communities, dishonoring our veterans. We just can't trust a career politician like Peter Barca.
I'm Brian Stile. I'm working to support families, stand with law enforcement, and honor our veterans. Families are struggling to afford the things that they need. That's why I'm working to lower costs and stop wasteful spending. I'm Brian Stile, and I approve this message because together we will get our country back on track.
Paid for by Style for Wisconsin.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Freedom is a wonderful yet fragile ideal. Freedom empowers us to be great and do great things, individually and as a nation. As Americans, we are the stewards of freedom, and we are responsible for its preservation. This starts with voting. Voting is a privilege, and we are obligated to research and select leaders who stand for the promise of the American dream. Our choice for president cannot be driven solely by opposition to one candidate. And while not voting or choosing a third party is our right, we must ask, are these choices the best way to protect our freedoms? Our vote is precious. Let us remember that freedom is a privilege paid for by the lives of countless men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. By making informed, selfless choices on Election Day, we honor their legacy and the legacy of freedom. From all the landscape experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, may God bless you and may God bless America.
So the body knows that it needs to heal itself, but it doesn't know how to concentrate it and target it into just one area. So that's where we come in.
By we, Dr. Ashley Caravelli means the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, QC Kinetics.
We put in those treatments, then it sends out like little signalers to your body. We're able to make the body focus on the areas that need the most healing.
QC Kinetics has gathered brilliant medical minds like Dr. Caravelli and Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, a pioneer in the field of regenerative medicine, to lead the way in these innovative pain treatments.
So at QC Kinetics, we have a whole team working nationwide with cutting-edge research to reach our patients and treat them and know that surgery is no longer their only option.
The consultation is free. Find out if you're a candidate. Call QC Kinetics today.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Here's what Tammy Baldwin thinks about President Trump and you.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob. Voter out.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
You know, the big wireless companies want you to overpay for data that you don't need, but you don't have to settle for that with Pure Talk. Well, you get to choose how much data that you actually want. And for $25 a month, you'll get unlimited talk, unlimited text. You're going to get mobile hotspot, 5 gigs of data. Go with Pure Talk, and you get to choose how much data you actually want. Just dial pound 250, say the keyword save now, and if you do it now, you'll save an additional 50% off your first month from Pure Talk.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
A wicked good time is waiting for you now inside the free iHeart app, and it starts with commercial-free Halloween radio. It's the ultimate Halloween soundtrack for the season with spooky hits,
the Monster Man,
fun throwbacks, and all the essential Halloween anthems. Open the free iHeart app, search Halloween radio, and listen now.
iHeart Radio.
Free never sounded so good.
Welcome back to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Even NBC News, which is, out of all the major networks, I would argue, and not just because of MSNBC, having lost their ever-loving minds and going all in with unhinged liberalism, but NBC News as an organization has always been, I think, at least in the Trump era, before that the Obama era, the most left-wing of the big three, or if you count Fox, the big four. Even NBC's polling guru, Steve Kornacki, it seems, is trying to prepare the left-leaning audience for at least the possibility, nay, the potential inevitability of a Donald Trump win. He goes on Meet the Press yesterday and delivers some really bad news.
One thing we have noticed in the last couple of days, this is not all of the polls that are out there now, but we have seen a number, 4 in the last 4 days, that have shown very small, but in the context of this close race, potentially meaningful movement in Trump's direction. I don't want to overstate it, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore these 4. The CNBC poll came out the other day, has Trump ahead by 2. The Wall Street Journal poll, Trump ahead by 3. These are national numbers. Siena and the New York Times, a tied race. CNN, a tied race. The significance here is broader movement. Again, we're seeing in Trump's direction.
And Also, this isn't 2012, this isn't 2008 or 2004, where the swing states had a tendency to vote to the right of the general electorate. There are so many Kamala Harris Democrat votes in California and New York that those two states, almost in every election cycle since the late 1980s, provide the difference in national popular votes between the Democrats and Republicans. All of those polls that Kornacki cited are national popular vote. Those are national polls. The swing states, the swing states used to vote to the left of the country as a whole. So you would have Florida, which people forget was the ultimate swing state for like 4 or 5 election cycles. Now it is deep red. Trump may very well win Florida by 10. The early vote there is just out of control for Republicans. They are going gangbusters with early voting. So now the swing states, Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, Florida, not Florida, but North Carolina, they vote to the right of the national popular vote. Trump can lose the popular vote by 5 or 6 points, and it doesn't matter because all of those votes for Kamala Harris are coming from California, by far the state with the largest population. If the votes for Trump are coming from Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, it doesn't matter how much he loses the popular vote by. In contrast, if Trump is tied within a point or a point ahead and actually wins the national popular vote, that's a pretty good sign that he's going to win the Electoral College in a landslide. And because we've seen the polls all moving to Trump, the Sun Belt, if you haven't noticed, the swing states of North Carolina, Georgia, and Arizona, Kamala is all but ignoring. I think she's written those off to focus on the very narrow path she has of winning Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. Here's the problem. Since the 1980s, those 3 states have swung together every single election. The reason it was called the blue wall is Republicans hadn't won. We all know here in Wisconsin, Trump was the first Republican to carry Wisconsin in 2016 since Ronald Reagan did it when he won 49 states in 1984. What people don't realize is the blue-collar Democrat union vote in Michigan and Pennsylvania was also so strong that Democrats held that since 1984. That's why it was known as the blue wall, because there were so many electoral votes there that Democrats could cobble together, relying on those states, multiple electoral college paths. Now they've only got one. And if those 3 states, and the polling suggests that they probably will, all swing again towards Trump, the election is over. We're also seeing big signs that Trump is expanding his map while Kamala's is shrinking to just the one path. Mark Halperin, who I've been citing for a long time because of how plugged in he is and how knowledgeable he is, says, and a number of pollsters have echoed this sentiment, no presidential candidate has ever won when they are left with just one potential path to victory. It's essentially like throwing a Hail Mary. Now, as we saw yesterday, and all of the Bears fans in my audience will attest, sometimes Hail Marys work, especially against the Chicago Bears. But most times they don't. It was announced yesterday that former President Trump is going to be holding rallies in the closing days of the campaign in both New Mexico and Virginia. This comes as a University of New Hampshire poll released yesterday shows Trump up a point in New Hampshire. None of those 3 swing states were considered to be really gettable for Trump. He needed to focus on the 7 states that we've been focusing here on the Dan O'Donnell Show for a year now. What he's doing, though, it appears, is expanding the map. The early vote in Virginia has been very, very, very good for Republicans, even better than Pennsylvania. And Pennsylvania has been good. I'm sure you're seeing the raw numbers. My uncle, who we know and love here on this program, he called me freaked out about the Pennsylvania numbers because Democrats have a 300,000 early vote advantage. In 2020, that number was 1.1 million. Okay? The firewall for Democrats is supposedly somewhere near 700,000 early votes in Pennsylvania. And Republicans keep making up that gap. If Trump truly believes, and I think he does, that either New Mexico or Virginia or New Hampshire are in play, what I believe is what he is attempting to do is sometimes you'll see this, candidates throw Hail Marys because they know on the current path they have no chance of winning. I don't believe the polling shows that at all. I believe what Trump is trying to do is to generate a mandate. So he's not squeaking by in the Electoral College so that he is winning with 330 electoral votes. He's winning the popular vote. So there's no question about Russia hacking the election or anything like that. That's what I believe. Now, I may be wrong. I may be misinterpreting that. But based on all of this, early vote, polls, candidate behavior, taking all of the available data into consideration, which I always strongly encourage you to do, good and bad data. Don't reject the stuff that, conflicts with your worldview. It's called cognitive dissonance, confirmation bias. You want to avoid that. Take in as much data as you can, and when you do, you start to realize that the trajectory of this race is very, very good for Republicans. So good, in fact, that the left is freaking out. We'll have one of the best freakouts coming up next on the Unhinged Liberal of the Day.
It's not hype to underscore the obvious. The 2024 election cycle is critical to the future of our country and to the American experiment itself. At News Talk 1130 WISN, we're committed to cover everything that impacts this election and to do so with clarity, coherence, and unapologetic candor. It's up to the voters to support freedom and liberty, and it's up to us to provide them with information and perspective. For complete coverage of Decision 2024, trust us. News Talk 1130 WISN.
A lot can happen in 25 years, especially in the swamps of Washington, D.C. When we first elected her, Tammy Baldwin focused on Wisconsin. But Baldwin changed. Today, she rakes in campaign cash from left-wing groups and does their bidding. Baldwin supports forcing women's domestic violence shelters in Wisconsin to admit biological men, making survivors of domestic violence sleep in the same building as men. She supported puberty blockers and sex change surgeries for minor children in Wisconsin. Baldwin even voted to send stimulus checks to criminals in jail, including the Boston Marathon bomber. We thought we knew Tammy Baldwin, but she's changed. Now it's time for us to make a change. Replace Tammy Baldwin. Senate Leadership Fund paid for and is responsible for the content of this advertising, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. www.senateleadershipfund.org.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
I talk about repairing before replacing because the savings in some cases are ridiculous. And here's a prime example. Not too long ago, we get a call to come out for a quote on a new window, but the customer asks us, "Hey, if you can fix it, please do, but I don't think you can." I've had 2 other companies out here, and both of them told me it can't be done. Well, our guy takes a look at the window, installs the necessary new parts, and $225 later, the window is as good as new. The customer's jaw dropped because in his hands was an absurdly high quote for over $12,000. If we had to replace it, our quote would have been around $6,000. But the moral of the story is, when you have the right people out, you get the results you want, and it can save you real money. This is David Wilhelm. Now, some window problems can't be fixed, but when we can fix it, we will. And that's why Lisbon Storm Screen and Door is your clear choice for more.
Your clear choice for more. Lisbon Storm Screen and Door.
Find out more at lisbonstorm.com.
Eric Hovde's been caught lying again. Caught lying about Tammy Baldwin 20 times in his ads. The latest, quote, Hovde falsely claimed that Tammy Baldwin supports sex change surgery on minors. The truth? Tammy Baldwin doesn't support that, and there's no sex change surgeries on minors anywhere in Wisconsin. None. Hovde also lied about Baldwin, quote, giving our money to a transgender clinic. That's been found false 3 different times. The Journal Sentinel says the truth is Baldwin supported mental health funding for a homeless youth shelter. That's right. Hovde's attacking a place for homeless kids. We all know what Eric Hovde is doing. He's trying to scare you, but they are all lies. Wisconsin is better than this. We're not going to let some billionaire California banker lie his way into the United States Senate.
I'm Tammy Baldwin, running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Paid for by Tammy Baldwin for Senate.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
Blue Mountain Express. We're gonna put a smile on your face. We make it easy. BlueMountainExpress.com. We will improve your move.
Blue Mountain Express, moving and storage, statewide.
Looking to upgrade your bathroom? Check out Bath Fitter. One-day installation, no demolition, no mess, and they're celebrating 40 years in business this year. Call 262-395-4925 to make your appointment with Bath Fitter today.
Just a couple of days until Halloween. Just a couple of seconds until we name the Unhinged Liberal of the Day.
Make me crazy.
Trump is Hitler.
We are in pre-Nazi Germany.
Make me crazy.
All white people are racist.
Does that make me crazy?
Trump is dangerous because he's evil. America is over.
At a rally in Michigan a couple of days ago, former President Trump got the endorsement of a bunch of Muslim community leaders, and this woman on TikTok could not handle it.
Okay, talk me down. I just heard that the mayor of Michigan and the Arab Muslim community of Michigan are supporting Trump. Do they not remember that he said he wanted to deport all Muslims? Are you nuts? Wait until you see what he does if you get what you want. And by the way, this has to be nothing but sexism. A woman president. Oh, holy shit, no. That's all it could be, because otherwise it's plain stupidity.
So apparently those Muslims are just too darn sexist to know what's good for them, including the mayor of Michigan. Mayor of Michigan. That woman, your unhinged liberal of the day. Kamala Harris had a pretty darn bad weekend. We will get into that, from Beyonce to getting booed in church. Dan O'Donnell Show coming right back.
News that's factual, fair, and balanced. This is continuing coverage on News Talk 1130 WISN, Milwaukee.
Good morning, I'm Ted Allen. A very busy week of campaigning in Wisconsin this week. Both vice presidential candidates are in the state today. Democrat Tim Walz will campaign in Milwaukee and Manitowoc, while Republican J.D. Vance will make stops in Racine and Wausau. On Wednesday, Vice President Kamala Harris will campaign in Madison, while former President Trump will campaign in Green Bay with former Packers quarterback Brett Favre scheduled to join him. Trump is then scheduled to return for a campaign stop in Milwaukee Friday. The latest polls give the former president a slight lead in the state. Chinese hackers have targeted both Trump and Vance's cell phone data. Several reports say the FBI notified the campaign of the possible breach last week. The China-based cyber criminals known as Salt Typhoon reportedly gained access to several telecom companies, including Verizon and AT&T. Other current government officials were also targeted. The Wisconsin Elections Commission is warning about fake election texts. The commission said Friday people need to be very careful when they respond to any text about next month's election. Commissioners say they've gotten copies of texts that tell voters there's a problem with their voter registration or that their voter information may be wrong. The Elections Commission says those texts are not necessarily scams, but they likely have incorrect information. The commission says voters can always check their registration and or voter information with their local clerk or at the state's My Vote system. Checking the holiday automotive of Fond du Lac Sports scoreboard, the Bucks head to Boston tonight to face the Celtics. From the Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin News Center, I'm Ted Allen on Wisconsin's most listened to radio station, News Talk 1130 WISN.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell here for the Lynch family of dealerships. I've been a big proponent of Lynch for a while now. Here's why. They're literally a family dealership and have been since 1957. That's increasingly rare in the dealership world today, but the Lynch family employs 500 plus people who are all dedicated to taking care of you. They've got a wide selection of new and used vehicles, extended service department hours for early drop-offs and late pickups, and most importantly, they're proud supporters of our local communities and schools. They also stand behind what they sell with Lynch-certified used vehicles, including a 168-point inspection to determine eligibility, an unparalleled 90-day or 3,000-mile certified guarantee, and a 10-day 500-mile exchange policy. And when you pair this with the Lynch Protected program, they cover your paint, your windshield, and your tires. It's easy to see why you should consider Lynch. Check them out today at shoplynch.com.
Here's the latest forecast from the Fox 6 weather experts.
Partly sunny, a little breezy today with a strong south and southeast wind. That'll help us up to 64 today, which is a seasonally mild day, with some very warm air is on tap for tomorrow, as we could get back to 80 for our Tuesday. I'm Fox 6 Chief Meteorologist Rob Haswell.
This report is sponsored by Discover. Time with family, laughs with friends, and cash back. Discover's got you covered on the last one. That's because Discover doubles all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cash Back Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services and host of the Designer Yard Show. Do you live in a home with distinctive architectural charm? Maybe it's a classic Dutch colonial with a timeless gambrel roof, or a prairie-style home with sleek horizontal lines. We admire unique architecture and the beauty of its influence throughout our homes. But does your landscape reflect that same character? At Seasonal Services, we believe the beauty of your home's architecture shouldn't stop at the walls. It should flow outdoors into the landscape. Your outdoor space should embrace the architectural features you love. Since 1994, the architects at Seasonal Services have been blending personal style with architectural harmony. We design and craft outdoor environments that complement the beauty and the character of your home. If you're planning a landscaping project and want to honor your home's architectural charm, call Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services at 262-392-3444 or visit us online at seasonalservices.com.
I'm Benjamin Yant, and October's the time to check your windows. We go from keeping the cool air in to keeping the warm air in. Window Nation can help you. And for October, you buy 2 windows, get 2 free plus. No payments or interest for 2 full years. 866-90-NATION or windownation.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Peter Stahl, board-certified urologist and Senior Vice President of Men's Sexual Health at HIMSS. In my 12 years of practice as a reproductive urologist, I've helped many guys with ED, and it has never been more convenient to treat than it is right now, thanks to HIMSS. It really wasn't easy before. You had to take time out of your day, come to a physical office, and see a specialist like me in person. Now, through HIMSS.com, you can get world-class sexual health care and a full range of treatment options for ED through a 100% online process. It starts with a free assessment from a medical provider licensed in your state who can determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. So don't wait. Join the hundreds of thousands of guys who've gotten help for their ED through HIMSS.
To start your free online visit and find ED treatment at up to 95% off brand name prices, go to hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio for your free online visit.
With Cybersecurity Awareness Month winding down, LifeLock wants to remind you to update your software. These updates are used to patch up security issues that identity thieves can exploit to gain access to your personal info. But for comprehensive identity theft protection, there's LifeLock. LifeLock alerts you to more uses of your personal info and fixes identity theft issues that arise. Start your 30-day free trial at lifelock.com. Use my name as your promo code, Clay.
Hello, I'm Joseph, owner of EWH University, where we help small businesses grow. Tune in to WISN every Sunday at 11 a.m. and visit EWHuniversity.com to learn more. That's EWHuniversity.com.
Be sure to listen to the NX Wealth Management Investment Show Saturday mornings at 11 and Sunday afternoons at 1 on News Talk 1130 WISN. NX provides its expertise to arm listeners with the knowledge and tools to invest wisely. NX Wealth Management. Know the difference.
This hour of the Dan O'Donnell Show is presented by the WISN Vote Early Project. Make your voice heard now. Early voting is open. Contact your municipal clerk for details.
So far, 7,463 early votes, including my boss, Jerry Bott. His wife, Chris, got the text yesterday that they early voted. Folks, I cannot possibly thank you, members of Dan Nation, enough for what you have done to flip Wisconsin back to Donald Trump. It is having an impact. 7,463, including 1,718. Most of those votes were logged on Friday, simply because it's not as though people weren't early voting on Saturday and Sunday. It's just you don't have a daily 2-hour reminder to text in. Regular programming doesn't air on the weekends. That's pretty standard for a radio station on both WIBA and WISN. There's how-to shows, there's nationally syndicated programming and all of that. You don't get that message. It's not top of mind. So I'm not concerned about the drop-off in early voting. In fact, I expected it. And frankly, while counting up the votes after an exhausting Halloween weekend last night, I was sort of relieved that I didn't have to count 7,000 additional early votes. But today, I am recharged and I am ready. I want as many votes as possible. If you couldn't get in, they supposedly have the issue fixed from the Wisconsin Elections Commission that had resulted in server crashes and slowdowns, and people were waiting in line for an hour plus in various locations. Both Democrat and Republican. It's not a conspiracy or anything like that. But they supposedly have that fixed. So a lot of people were telling me, Dan, I really, really wanted to vote, but the line was just too long. I had other stuff to do. I couldn't sit there for an hour and a half. And hey, folks, I'm with you. I went the opening day, and it was an hour and a half line, and I had way, way too many appointments that Tuesday. So I just went back. It was about a 45-minute wait on Wednesday. If you've been putting it off, as I know a lot of you have, you still have, for most communities, today through Friday. Some communities will do Saturday and Sunday. There is no early voting a week from today. That day is reserved for clerks and election workers to get ready for the election. If I had my way, that would be the day when early votes are counted. I know there is some fear that it would just let Democrats know how many votes they need to manufacture on Election Day in order to win. And I can tell you that while that would be theoretically a concern, wouldn't you rather just have Democrats having 12 hours to freak out over the margins that they're trailing instead of weeks and weeks and weeks? Also, wouldn't you rather, instead of having these votes counted either throughout the day or after the polls close, when everyone is tired, when poll observers and election lawyers are busy elsewhere as they're sort of distracted, wouldn't you rather have an entire day dedicated to actually counting the votes, which are the most likely to be fraudulently delivered? I'm telling you, folks, the issue is and has always been mail-in voting, somewhat in-person absentee. It is very, very difficult to get the number of votes needed to overcome legitimate vote margins in a single day. It's just very, very difficult. I have always advocated for, and I think it's the height of stupidity not to set aside that Monday once early votes are completed so we don't have these late-night ballot dumps in Milwaukee. Madison is much better at getting their votes counted. Florida will have all of their votes counted in the third most populous state in the country by like 11 o'clock our time, if not earlier. It is amazing how only swing states will tell you it's going to take days. Oh, man, it's going to take a couple of days to count those ballots. There is a very disturbing report from the Daily Signal that we will get to in just a second. First, though, if you want to take part in Wisconsin's largest early vote drive, shoot me a text, adventknows.com talk and text line 414-799-1130. Reach me toll free, 1-800-838-9476. Email me directly, dod@iheartmedia.com, at Dan O'Donnell Show on X, facebook.com/Dan O'Donnell Show. Be sure to watch the show streaming live on X, on Facebook, and on YouTube. And believe it or not, I for an unrelated reason, needed to check my bank statement. I am now getting regular payments from Facebook. I know, it's weird. For Facebook, I get even bigger payments from X, and I am shocked by both. My wife had a great line. She says, good, this is payback for all the times Facebook censored you in 2021. Remember, we actually stopped the live stream of this show. We shut down the Dano Cam for about a year and a half because I would have on like Ron Johnson, senator running for re-election. He would say something about masking, like masks don't work, and we would be suspended from Facebook, from YouTube for like 2 weeks. Then it was a month. And finally, and I think this was sort of the point, I said, you know what, screw it. It's not even worth it. I'm done. I'm just going to focus on the audio content that I provide, not the video. But we're back. Facebook, we're all good. Stop censoring me. Keep those checks rolling in. And I do thank you, folks, for engaging with the post for very selfish reasons, rather obviously, because I get more money. Please do share the live stream. Please do respond to my tweets, repost the tweets on X. I'll always call them tweets. I know Elon changed the name to X. It's a Sears Tower situation for me, folks. I can't, even a year or so later, I can't get used to calling it X. But I also want to spread the word of Dan Nation to tell everybody in the state, all across the country, what it is we're doing here in Wisconsin, trying to lead the charge for early voting to get those votes banked. Fall Fortune oh, by the way, on X and Facebook, you can see the official Dan O'Donnell Halloween costumes. I know that's always popular. Check them out. I guarantee you'll get a chuckle. Facebook and X. Fall Fortune Cash Contest. Word this hour, credit, C-R-E-D-I-T, credit. You've got until 55 past the hour to go to our website, enter the keyword credit. If your entry is picked at random, you will win $1,000, not in credit, but in straight cash, homie, in the form of a check. DeRoy Murdoch runs an organization called Common Sense Elections. Its website is stopbogusballots.com. And in a new investigative piece posted over the weekend at the Daily Signal, his group's analysis discovered mail-in ballot requests from, among others, the following active voters here in Wisconsin. They are registered at suspicious addresses in Wisconsin within these categories of doubt. 2,777 have permanently moved out of the state. 1,158 have moved to new Wisconsin counties, but are still registered in old counties. 275 moved away, but left no forwarding addresses. 2,325 were undeliverable addresses that were not found in the U.S. Postal Service database. 442 were non-residential business locations. 7,571 were missing or wrong apartment numbers where stray ballots stack up in lobbies. 3,408 had duplicate registrations. 1,251 have received no mail for at least 90 days, and 10,877 had components of these addresses that do not match the Postal Service database. These anomalies alone, Murdoch concludes, and there are others, affect 30,084 mail-in ballot requests associated with unqualified, possibly illegal addresses in Wisconsin. Now, I should stress, these are not ballots that got mailed in. These were mail-in requests. And what I can tell you from my own analysis and experience with this sort of thing is that a lot of these do actually have innocent explanations. The two categories that give me extreme pause, because this is where you could very easily get a whole lot of fraud, are the 2,777 that have permanently moved out of the state but are still requesting ballots from their old addresses. While it is possible that these are college students who are, say, at the University of Arizona, but they're voting in Wisconsin, but they've permanently moved out of state in the sense that their new address is at an apartment in Tempe, right? That is possible. But what we do know is that a lot of times fraud is accomplished by using an actual living person. The dead don't vote because the dead are too easy to track. They're too easy to prove that they're dead. Generally speaking, what I believe the fraud is good old-fashioned impersonation fraud. Ballots are requested in the names of people who will never, ever vote and will never, ever check a database to see that they've voted. Oftentimes, these are older people Oftentimes, these are people who just are, they're mentally ill. Maybe they're living in a group home, that sort of thing. Maybe they're not, but they're under the care of family members. They live on their own, but they've got people who check up on them. This is a common thing that has gone on in other states. I can tell you it has never been proven on a wide scale in this state. What I can also tell you, though, is that in 2020, a very strong source of fraud was impersonation fraud in nursing homes. That you had people who very obviously did not have the mental faculties to be able to vote. We were the ones who broke this story. It became a huge national thing. We broke this. I had dozens of people say that they had their elderly relatives were voting when there was just no way they were mentally there. Mom had no, the example that will stick with me until the day I die was a woman who was born in Germany and had a severe stroke, and for the last 8 to 10 months of her life, she died in October of 2020. She couldn't speak English. She could only speak German. The part of her brain that knew English just shut off. How could she possibly understand the ballot? So that's something that gives me a whole lot of pause. The one that really, really concerns me is the 7,571 ballot requests that don't have apartment numbers. This is where you can see illegal ballot harvesting at a large scale. What you do is you request the ballot in the name of somebody who might not actually live at that address. Someone might have moved. You don't put, if you're a bad actor, and you know, man, I am really hurting here, folks. During the commercial, I promise I am going to chug a gallon of water, but my voice is going very, very quickly. I'm feeling a little under the weather. Yeah, producer Dave, if you could fill up my water bottle. Yeah, I'm going to break in the next 2 minutes. I'll just do it myself. No, I probably won't go to break in 2 minutes. You're absolutely right. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. The fact so if you're a ballot harvester, it takes a whole lot of work to go to each individual house, right? Well, where are the people who are elderly, who are infirm, who are not as likely to be civic-minded, who are not as likely to be voting regularly and not really care to ever check? They don't care about politics. Maybe their mind isn't there anymore. Are they more likely to live in a house, or are they more likely to live in an apartment? Also, where is it easier to get just a whole bunch of ballots that are just left sitting out there somewhere for you to pick up, fill out, send back? In apartments. If the mail is simply addressed to the apartment, it's conceivable that that mail is delivered if there's somebody who actually lives there, but it never actually goes into their box, which presumably is secure, right? You've got the little key, you open up your mailbox. If it's just sitting there, all a ballot harvester needs to do is go pick up the stack of ballots that come in, fill them out, bada bing, bada boom, you've got votes. Duplicate registrations, that's, technically, I was allowed because of a grace period in Wisconsin law. I no longer live at my old address because we moved. So do you realize, producer Dave, this is so hilarious. I moved, went to the DMV to change my driver's license specifically so it would show my new address. I did this like 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So I could vote from my in-laws' address. We're in the same city. I believe we're even in the same polling place, same ward. So it didn't really matter, but I just wanted to make sure. So I filled out the form, the change of address form. I get my new license in the mail. Would you believe it still has my old address on it? Way to go, DMV. On the plus side, the people who were there, like, totally changed my mind about DMV employees. They were about the most friendly, nice people there. I think they realized the stereotypes, you know, Patty and Selma from The Simpsons and so forth. They were about as friendly as could be. I'm like, hey, state DOT, can we get our you-know-what together? So I probably have, or actually I didn't re-register, but I theoretically could have had a duplicate registration. There would have been Dan O'Donnell at the old house, Dan O'Donnell at the new house. The other thing that gives me pause is residents who have received no mail for at least 90 days. My guess is those are also the ones who are at the apartments with no apartment unit address. Undeliverable addresses. It's entirely possible that the writing on the ballot request is simply illegible. A lot of these requests, though, remember, are done online. But you've got 30,000 that are suspicious. Now, does this mean there are going to be 30,000 fraudulent votes? Absolutely not. Do I believe very strongly, though, that there are bad actors within those 30,000? And I think if I'm a Republican election lawyer, I'm looking very, very closely at those 7,571 who have missing or wrong apartment numbers where stray ballots can stack up in the lobbies. Because to me, that's the easiest way to actually perpetuate fraud. I will explain what we can do about that, what you specifically can do about that, coming up next here on The Dan O'Donnell Show.
With nearly 50 years of experience, my dad, Jim Mullally, has taught my cousin Mark everything he knows. In fact, he bestowed so much expertise onto Mark that Mark went to New York to compete against the top furniture finishers in the country. And you know what? He won. So if you're looking for the finest of furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. Serving everywhere. Quality counts. Mullally finishing.com. The bulk of our business is in wood furniture restoration. We found that there are a lot of folks out there with antique furniture and heirloom pieces that are in good shape, but just need to be brought back to life again. Well, that's our specialty. And right here in Mequon, you'll find one of the country's top furniture finishers. So if you want only the finest in furniture finishing and heirloom restoration, by golly, it's Mullally. Mullally Furniture Finishing and Repair. We're no job's too small. Serving everywhere. Quality counts.
Jay Weber here. If you're someone who's experiencing shoulder, spine, hip, knee, or musculoskeletal pain and a total joint replacement might be in your future, think Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. Find them at orthowisconsin.com. At Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, their physicians are committed to providing the highest quality of joint care and specialize in same-day total joint replacements at their own ambulatory surgery center in Pewaukee. You can find them at orthowisconsin.com. orthowisconsin.com. Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference.
Considering remodeling? Don't know where to start? Hi, Scott Reamer from Reamer Remodel, Wisconsin's leading residential remodeler, specializing in kitchens, bathrooms, lower levels, and additions. Our process is simple, yet proven. Architecturally trained designers, master craftsmen, and a project management team that's dedicated to every job, providing detailed updates daily, in writing. Want to learn more? Visit us online at reamerremodel.com. That's RIEMER remodel.com.
Do you think our country's going in the right direction, or does it feel like everything's falling apart? If you're a bit concerned, you're not alone. In fact, Americans from all walks of life have taken action to prepare for whatever's coming next. And that starts with having an emergency food supply. Storing food in your home is the right thing to do, because we're living in crazy times, which explains why so many people are preparing. Right now, you can get ready too with a 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. It comes with delicious foods like creamy stroganoff, honey wheat bread, and mushroom rice pilaf, all offering over 2,000 calories every day. Their food kit lasts up to 25 years. Who knows what our country will look like then? But when that day comes, you'll be ready. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com now to order your 3-month emergency food kit from My Patriot Supply. Go to MyPatriotSupply.com right now.
The inevitable question comes, oh man, my voice is way better right now. This has been an ongoing thing, folks. It's a combination of the dry air, the fact that I drink coffee in the morning and don't drink nearly enough water, and the fact that I yell myself hoarse coaching and playing soccer every weekend. Mondays are always rough, but thank you, producer Dave. This guy literally does everything. He walked out, filled up my water bottle when he knew I needed it, and yes, Dave, my voice is a lot better. He asks, do I need a hot stone massage after the show to sort of unwind? The fact that you're even thinking about that makes me think maybe you love working for me a little too much. He goes, that was the creepiest thing he could have come up with. No, Dave, we do, of course, always appreciate you. We appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. Dave and I have been hearing from you in person really since this early vote drive started, just how much it means that we're kind of taking the reins on this and really taking, and look, folks, we were sort of the OGs when it comes to early voting. We started Wisconsin's largest early vote drive because I recognized that A, we needed to beat Democrats at their own game. We couldn't surrender so many points in the first quarter of the game and try to make it up in the fourth when time was running short. And I also realized that if Republicans dominate early voting like they are now, let's say this happens again in the 2026 midterm cycle. Let's say Republicans recapture the governorship, because I think it's entirely likely Tony Evers. In fact, I would almost consider it a lock. Evers doesn't run again. They're clearly grooming Sarah Rodriguez, the lieutenant governor, or possibly Sarah Godlewski. My guess is that Johnson, when he is up in 2028, Ron Johnson, his Senate seat, they're going to run her, that they've already promised that she's going to be the candidate because Johnson has said he's not going to run for another term. Now, he said that before, and he's still in the Senate. But yeah, it could be, it's up to Godlewski. I know she is the superstar of the Democrat Party. I know producer Dave just started laughing at that. It's true. It's true. She's a bougie white lady from Madison, dude. She is the Wisconsin Democratic Party. People always ask, Dan, when you present this sort of information, and I want to stress, this is not proof that there are 30,000 fraudulent ballots running around. I have no idea how many of those, if you weren't listening to my opening monologue last segment, there were 30,000 absentee ballots identified by DeRoy Murdoch's StopBogusBallots.com group. It's called Common Sense Elections, as just being suspicious. There's no indication how many, if any, of those ballots were actually mailed. This is obviously pertinent information, and I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression that, oh my gosh, this is concrete evidence of fraud. What I am saying here is, based on my knowledge of how ballot fraud actually operates, based on probably the most concrete example, it was in North Carolina in 2018, a Republican congressional victory was actually undone. They had to rerun the race because of so much widespread ballot fraud by the Republican's strategist, by his campaign manager. He didn't run again. A new Republican was a heavily Republican district, or at least leans Republican. So I'm guessing he didn't need to cheat, but he did. He went to prison. What he did was just he filled out absentee ballot requests and have them sent to different mailboxes, to different apartments where he would just be waiting, or somebody on his team would be waiting. They would collect the ballot from somebody they knew would never ever vote because they're looking in public databases as to who just hasn't voted in 20 years. They go, they know the day that the ballot is going to be delivered, and they just wait there, and they grab the ballot, fill it out, mail it back. This, by the way, is why ballot drop boxes are so popular, because they're in random places where there are no cameras like there tend to be at post offices where mailboxes are, and you can drop off a whole ton of them at once. This is why I think where the investigation needs to happen is into the 7,571 ballots that have missing or wrong apartment numbers, where ballots can simply pile up in the lobby with no security apparatus whatsoever to keep them safe. There's no chain of custody. This has always been the massive problem with mail-in balloting, and this is why for 20 years now we have understood. I know I sound like a broken record on this. 2005, bipartisan commission, co-chaired by liberal hero Jimmy Carter, found that the single easiest way to steal or rig elections was in mail-in balloting for that exact reason. Because the ballot just sort of sits somewhere in a mailbox, in somebody's apartment, sitting in an apartment building lobby. There's no chain of custody. There's no ballot security. So this is where I would encourage the GOP and the Trump campaign to be focusing its investigative efforts. But people always ask me, Dan, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? 30,084 suspicious mail-in ballot requests. How about we produce 30,085 legitimate early votes to remove any doubt as to whether or not those votes will have any impact whatsoever? This is where you come in. If you think they can manufacture votes, you can too. Not illegally, of course. But what I'm talking about is texting your friends, calling them. Go to your neighbor. If they're older, if they don't usually vote, offer to take them. Offer to take them out to lunch. Offer to take them out to a post-work happy hour. Go golfing. Go to a golf simulator. Go bowling. Shoot some baskets. Shoot hoops if you got a basketball playing crew. Ladies, go get your nails done with a friend of yours and go vote before you do so. Sort of hard to fill out the ballots with the 5-inch press-on nails that you people do. No, nobody does the 5-inch nails. Do a lunch, ladies' brunch. Get out there and get more legit votes in. It's the way to make sure that, like Trump says, make it too big to rig. This sort of report should tick you off to the point where you say, not in my state, not while I have something to do about it. And again, when you get confirmation that your friends, your nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, your drinking buddies, your golfing buddies, your book club ladies, when you got those, let me know about it. Because all of us working together to get as many votes in there as possible, I am telling you, makes it impossible for this election to be stolen. You're listening to the Dan O'Donnell Show. Classical conservatism, contemporary style.
The Dan O'Donnell Show is coming right back.
I'm Brett Ochtenhagen, owner of Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services. Freedom is a wonderful yet fragile ideal. Freedom empowers us to be great and do great things, individually and as a nation. As Americans, we are the stewards of freedom, and we are responsible for its preservation. This starts with voting. Voting is a privilege, and we are obligated to research and select leaders who stand for the promise of the American dream. Our choice for president cannot be driven solely by opposition to one candidate. And while not voting or choosing a third party is our right, we must ask, are these choices the best way to protect our freedoms? Our vote is precious. Let us remember that freedom is a privilege paid for by the lives of countless men and women who made the ultimate sacrifice. By making informed, selfless choices on Election Day, we honor their legacy and the legacy of freedom. From all the landscape experts at Brett Ochtenhagen Seasonal Services, may God bless you and may God bless America.
For more information about contests on News Talk 1130 WISN, go to newstalk1130.com/rules.
Hey, Dan O'Donnell for my friends at Mander Collision and Glass, now with 7 locations to serve you wherever you are in southeast Wisconsin. I've been a loyal Mander customer for nearly 8 years now because of their skill and price, sure, but also because their customer service is the sort you can only get at a third-generation family business. But don't just take my word for it. Here's Colleen, who writes, I just recently had my car repaired at Mander, and they were amazing in every way. Special shout out to Noelle at the front desk for always being available and providing updates. Very much appreciated. So too is your testimonial, Colleen, because I have heard dozens and dozens just like it. People talk about the great experience they have at Mander because it really is the best decision you can make after a collision. With 7 locations to serve you, you can start your repair easily at mandercollision.com. That's mandercollision.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
What does BOGO stand for?
Well, BOGO can mean a lot of things, like box of giggling otters or big old goofy owl.
Huh?
But here at Hasselus Mattress, it means buy one, get one.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
Through Monday, buy one new Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, or Certa Perfect Sleeper and get one free box spring.
Oh.
Or an equal amount off an adjustable base.
Oh.
Or
more?
$248 in instant savings on your Queen Beauty Rest, Certa Perfect Sleeper, or Sealy Posturepedic mattress.
Nice.
Or
good grief,
save even more on a king.
That's a lot of ors.
We like options.
Yeah, but it adds a lot more O's to BOGO.
You're right. I guess it should be pronounced BOGO. Or
maybe not.
Buy one, get one, and have it delivered free the next day through Monday at Hasselus Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find a hassle-free self-service showroom near you at hasselus.com. Hasselus, employee-free since 2014.
Hi, I'm Nick from Metro Milwaukee Homebuyer, and we'll buy your home as is in cash in as little as 1 week. You heard that right, as is in 1 week. We're a local family business that pays cash for properties as is. Just visit MetroMilwaukeeHomebuyer.com to learn more.
That's the best thing about Capital's Furnace Beyondification.
Absolutely.
I agree. Hey, Merle, what you got? What's this? A screenplay?
Let me see this. Captain Capital, Heat and Air Hero.
That's so awesome, Merle.
Hang on. I've been writing a screenplay like this.
For years.
It's an epic, and it's Capital Man, not Captain Capital. Yes, of course he restores your furnace to like new condition.
Says here, Captain Capital has a deep clean device.
Aha! Capital Man deep cleans your system with his laser beam hands.
What?
I'm developing a sidekick. He always does the comprehensive safety checks. You wrote yourself in as the sidekick?
As long as it gets across how Capital's Furnace Beyondification saves the day.
And how you want to do it before winter hits.
Well, that's the whole point.
That's what I'm saying.
Then it's great.
Laura, Seth, I need a moment with Merle, please.
Schedule your Furnace Beyondification today at callcapitalcares.com.
We've found that the high road is worth the climb, and it's less crowded. At Semperfi, everything we do is done to the best of our ability. There are no shortcuts. It's pretty simple. We do what we say we're going to do because we fully understand that a reputation is never given. It's always earned. It is in our nature to keep our values intact so that when we leave your job, you'll be right there to shake our hand with satisfaction. We've installed massive flat roofs and shingled huge churches, schools, and all kinds of homes from modest to extravagant, all with integrity and pride in our work. And we're going to keep doing it for generations to come. That's what Always Faithful means to us. This is Brad Youngbluth with Semper Fi Roofing and Exteriors, your local, veteran-owned and operated exterior remodeling company. For your new roof, siding, window and door installation, or masonry work, you can count on Semper Fi to keep you safe, warm, and dry.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry. Semper Fi.
Get your rock-solid guaranteed pre-approval to buy at accunet.com.
I'm Julian Edelman.
I'm Rob Gronkowski.
Welcome to Dudes on Dudes. We're going to highlight players, and we're just going to sit here and talk about them. And we'll get into the types of dudes. Is Randy Moss a stud or a freak? Is Tom Brady a dog or a dude's dude?
We're going to find out, Jules. New episodes drop every Thursday during the NFL season.
Listen to Dudes on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Dudes on Dudes to start listening.
One of the absolute biggest bangers, I think, in the history of video games. All my 90s kids should recognize this one immediately. It is Bloody Tears, the theme song from the game Castlevania 2, as remixed by the hip-hop group Army of the Pharaohs. Can't play any of the lyrics of that song. The refrain is something to the effect of, "Die, mother bleeper, die." So charming, uplifting lyrics from the fellows in Army of the Pharaohs. You'll hear a lot of their instrumentals in regular Dan O'Donnell show bumper music. They do a fantastic job of mixing the orchestral stuff with big hip-hop beats. It's what I love, and that's why we say it's classical conservatism mixed with contemporary style. Kamala Harris did not have a very good weekend. For the second time in this campaign, it's kind of remarkable. For the second time in this campaign, her voters were given a little bait and switch about Beyonce performing at a big rally. First, it was the totally unfounded rumor that Bebe, or is it BB? When they call themselves the Beehive. It's the Beehive, right? Not the... Yeah, okay. Dave is like shrugging his shoulders. Is there a topic you know less about than you know about Beyonce? My eclectic taste in music. There you go. That's what Dave says. He is constantly surprised by some of the bumper music that we've got in there. Beyonce was rumored to perform on the final night of the Democratic National Convention. It spread like wildfire on the day of Kamala's speech. That, my goodness, Beyonce was going to be there. She was going to just rock the house. There was no chance Trump and Vance would ever come back from that. All day, the media reported breathlessly on this. Guess what? B never performed. Everyone was disappointed, not least of all the DNC attendees who were filmed griping about this on the way out of the arena. Would you believe they did it again? At a rally in Houston where Beyonce was announced, it was a big abortion rights rally. Beyonce's hometown is Houston. I knew that much, at least, primarily because I had heard it in the coverage of this rally. There was a rumor going around that Beyonce was going to perform. As a result, hey, free Beyonce concert? Let's go. Tens of thousands of people showed up thinking that Beyonce was going to perform. Instead, she gives a 3-minute speech where she endorses Kamala Harris and walks off. When Harris started speaking, as you can imagine, people were not too pleased.
Is banned from the moment of conception.
not sure who the small rally down the street was, but because there were so many people being filmed once again walking out on Kamala, those were just a couple of people who started chanting. I don't know if they were pro-Palestinians or whatever, but there were a lot of people who were ticked about Beyonce not performing. They feel it was yet another bait and switch. Now, how does this happen? Twice now. Does the media just kind of make stuff up about Beyonce performing for Kamala? Maybe. It's far more likely, though, that someone from the Kamala campaign, someone who has the trust of members of the media, in other words, someone high-ranking, says, hey, here's an exclusive for you. Beyonce is going to perform. They try to get all this buzz going. I guarantee they wanted to have, because they knew they needed to go up against the Trump and Joe Rogan interview, which unfortunately we ran out of time. I've got some great sound bites from that. No time to, what's that? It's the most, oh, wow, the numbers are in. It's the most listened to episode of Joe Rogan's show, which is impressive because Joe Rogan has by far the most listened to podcast in America. It's the most listened to episode by far, just millions and millions of people tuning into this thing. And more importantly, the clips of it are all over the internet. So it's reaching a much broader audience. Not everybody is listening to the whole 3 hours, but they're seeing the clips that are released on social media. In the first, you're kidding me. In the first 20 hours, there were 20 million people who listened to that episode. Clicks. Yeah, they could have been listening for a millisecond. You don't know. That's 1 million people per hour. That's absolutely incredible. Dave says it's more people than watch the World Series. Dude, that's more people than have watched like the last 10 World Series, okay? By the way, you missed a great game if you missed game one. First Grand Slam walk-off in the history of the World Series. But Kamala needed to do something big to upstage Trump, so I guarantee it was they were letting it slow. Beyonce is going to perform. Beyonce is going to perform. Get all this buzz. Get all these people there. And then, I don't know, they just don't care about how ticked off they are. Well, there might have been some residual anger. Kamala went to church yesterday and didn't go well for her either.
As a nation, we face real challenges. We carry
No, producer Dave asked if they're playing her off stage. No, they were trying to drown out whoever it was that was screaming. I have no idea what they were saying, but the fact that this is going on more frequently now probably isn't a great sign. I don't think you can extrapolate that to what's going on in the polls or anything like that, because let's face it, there are hecklers everywhere. Trump deals with them all the time, but it is a good encapsulation of, I think, even the Democrats' frustration with the Kamala campaign. It's the Dan O'Donnell Show. Conservative thought, not just talk.
Here's a review of Engine and Transmission Exchange that stands out. Rather than push repairs, Vince will be honest with you if it's bad news, like the repairs are going to cost more than the car is worth, and it's time to look for a better car. The customer who left that review is right, and knowing when to move on from a car and from costly repairs is easier when you've got a mechanic you can trust. The trust that Vince and his team at ETE have built up with customers is now multi-generational and well-known. In fact, WISN listeners talk as if they're doctors you turn to when you want a second opinion. A $2,000 car repair estimate that shocked one listener became a $146 repair when he took the car to Engine and Transmission Exchange. The price of one gal's 100,000-mile maintenance was cut in half because Vince told her, you don't really need to do that or this, but yes, these two fluid changes are important. ETE's people will be honest with you. It's why I and many of you have come to love Engine and Transmission Exchange. All of your work will be done by ASE certified technicians. They'll only do what needs to be done, and they'll do it right. Check out enginetrans.com. Enginetrans.com. It's Engine and Transmission Condition Exchange.
Dan O'Donnell here for my amazing friends at Built Right Furniture. It's the final days of Built Right's 96th anniversary mattress celebration. Their one location saves you time and saves you money. They make it easy to shop and easy to buy. Built Right beats any big box national or local chain store, department store, employee free store, online retailer, or warehouse club because they have the guaranteed lowest prices. Built Right has the best value, selection, service, and experienced team in Wisconsin. Over 60 models and 500 mattresses in stock. Choose from the best mattress brands made in the USA. Heirloom, Gold Bond, Therapeutic, Restonic, and Schiffman. Built Right specializes in hard-to-find, flippable, two-sided, and heavy-duty mattresses that hold up to 600 pounds. Built Right always saves you money. Shop Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Sunday, they're closed to be with family. Tell them Dan sent you to Built Right at 54th and Layton in Greenfield.
Here's what Tammy Baldwin thinks about President Trump and you.
Donald Trump might be one of the most offensive and hateful and unacceptable presidential candidates we've ever had. So what does that say about the people who support him?
Tammy Baldwin is a liberal snob. Vote her out.
I'm Eric Hovde, candidate for U.S. Senate, and I approve this message. Join my team and give today.
Visit WisconsinVictoryJFC.com to give today. Paid for by Wisconsin Victory Committee.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
An official message from Medicare.
Medicare plans change from one year to the next. And this year, it's important for you to review your current coverage and compare all your options during Medicare open enrollment. Compare health plans, drug coverage, and costs. See if you can save some money, and don't forget to make sure your drugs are covered. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Visit Medicare.gov or call 1-800-MEDICARE.
Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Sometimes it's hard to figure out what to do about things like retirement planning, selling a business, or building your legacy. So when other advisors present products packed with commissions, you start to wonder, is this advice or a sales pitch? Annex Wealth Management is a fee-only fiduciary. No commission products, just clear thinking when it comes to investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning. Head to annexwealth.com, click the Get Started button. It only takes a couple of minutes. Know the difference with a fee-only fiduciary. That's Annex Wealth Management.
You've heard the reports about winter fuel bills. Scary! But here's a fact that's even scarier. Hi, this is Terry Ladwick, owner of All American Window and Door Company. If you don't buy high-quality replacement windows or don't have them installed professionally, you'll make the problem worse. Being rushed into a bad choice is truly frightening. With us, there's no pressure. We'll guide you to the right choice for lifetime satisfaction. All American Window and Door Company, 262-255-7170. Estimates are free.
Many states don't allow newly built homeowners to move in until furnace ducts are sealed because sealing ducts saves energy. Even in brand new homes, Clean Living Environments will save you money for life. Get more out of your ducts, cleanlivingenvironments.com. That's cleanlivingenvironments.com.
Goodyear, Dunlop, Kelly, Continental, General, you name it, we got it.
Plus, free flat tire repair, free tire rotations, and more.
So when you're due for tire service, schedule it at richlawns.com.
That's Rich Lawns with 2 N's.
Rich Lawns.
Portions of the following program were pre-recorded.
Conservative thought, not just talk. It is the Dan O'Donnell Show with a somewhat impossible question. What was more satisfying this weekend? The Packers winning on a second straight last-second field goal from the new kicker, Brandon McManus, or the Bears losing not just on an impossible Hail Mary touchdown play, but in true Bears fashion? Do you know the cornerback who tipped the ball into the end zone so the receiver could catch it? His name is Tyreek Stevenson. There was video from a fan in the stands that actually showed him on the sidelines while the play was going on. He was in the play, he was on the field, but sort of dancing around the sideline, taunting Washington fans. He then runs over to where all the players are gathered to receive the Hail Mary. He jumps up, and he is the one who tips the ball, at least from my vantage point. He was the one who tipped the ball into the hands of the receiver. Who was it that caught it? Was it McLaurin? Just some no-name receiver. No offense to him, says producer Dave. Video posted on social media, according to ESPN, showed Stevenson pointing toward the stands and raising his arms in the air with his back to the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped. He was late to get to the play, then tipped the ball up only for Washington wideout Noah Brown to catch it in the end zone. He has since apologized, writing on social media, to Chicago and my teammates, my apologies for lack of awareness and focus. The game ain't over till zeros hit the clock. Can't take anything for granted. Notes taken. Improvement will happen. Hopefully the improvements will happen on the waiver wire if Chicago has any sense. But to answer the question, I think Dave and I agree, far more satisfying to see a big Packers win. Keep early voting. Keep texting me. Dan O'Donnell Show returns tomorrow.